Welcome to the realm of astrology, Libra. This is your monthly reading for the month of June. But before we begin, I want to let you know that I do daily horoscope videos, weekly horoscope videos, monthly horoscope videos, and monthly sun rising sign horoscope videos. You can watch them all on my YouTube channel or on my website called www.realmofastrology.com. That being said, do hit the subscribe button and let's begin with your monthly horoscope for June. So Libra, before I talk about June, I want to mention that we are in a period between eclipses. There was an eclipse on May 26th and there will be an eclipse on June 10th. And this is relevant because this period between eclipses is karmic, is destined. And what does that mean? It means that fated events take place. It means that you can receive some pieces of information. It means that if you've been waiting for something to happen and it hasn't happened for you yet, it can happen. So this period till June 10th is extremely karmic, and we will also talk about the eclipse on June 10th and what that means for you specifically. But before that, let's get into the month of June. Let's start with June 1st. And on June 1st, May 31st into June 1st actually, we are having the Sun North Node conjunction. The Sun and North Node are meeting up, okay? And when they meet up, the North Node energizes anything that's close to the Sun. So when they meet up, our soul, our identity, our consciousness will be magnified, will be energized. And this for you, Libra, is happening in your 9th house. Wherever the Sun is, the focus of our life becomes that for 30 days. It illuminates that area of our life for us. And for you, Libra, it has been illuminating the ninth house for you, as you can see on the chart. It's your 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of foreign travel, higher education, faith, belief, knowledge, wisdom. It's also publishing. So these are the areas that are in focus right now for you, and the North Node Sun conjunction will only magnify these areas in your life, and that happens on May 31st into June 1st. Okay, moving on to June 2nd. Two important things happen on June 2nd. The first is the last quarter phase of the moon, and second is that Venus is going to change signs from Gemini to Cancer. So let's talk about Venus first. Okay, Venus, as you can see on the chart, has moved from the sign of Gemini to the sign of Cancer. Now, this is important because Venus has been in your 9th house, which means you have been receiving some blessings. You have been more receptive to publishing your faith, your religion, belief system, wisdom, knowledge, higher education, foreign travel, even adventure. These are the areas of your life that Venus has blessed. And now moving on into your 10th house, for the next 20 days, it's going to start blessing your career. It's going to give you gifts connected to your career, and you will be more receptive to your career as well. So this is a shift in energy for you. And let's talk about the second thing that's happening. It is the last quarter phase of the moon. Now, what is that? It is when the sun, it's when the sun and the moon make their last 90-degree angle before the new moon. Okay, that sounds like a lot, but basically this is the point where we start to let go of things. And what are we letting go of? We are letting go of something that began for us on May 11th with the new moon in Taurus. As a collective, we started a new beginning when it came to our self-worth, finances, skills, monetary possessions, all right, values even. And now we are, as a collective, releasing something that will not go with us to the next month, that is not required to be with us any longer this whole week. But for you, Libra, specifically, that new moon in Taurus happened in your 8th house, and the 8th house is the house of intimacy. It's the house of personal karma. It's also the house of healing, transformation, and regeneration. So that was the area that you began a new beginning, Libra. And now you're assessing what can go with you to the next month concerning these areas of your life. Okay? So these are the two things that happen on June 2nd. And now I'm going to talk about the most important event of June, which is the new moon solar eclipse that happens in Gemini. Now, what is a new moon? A new moon is when the sun and the moon are together. It's going to happen at 19 degrees of Gemini. Right now, the chart's not at 19 degrees, but it's going to happen at 19 degrees of Gemini. And when the sun and the moon are together, as they are every month, we begin a new lunar cycle. We begin the new lunar month and we seed something. We sow the seeds for something on a new moon, and it's also the beginning of something. And when it's next to the north node is right here, it becomes an eclipse. Now, this is different from a new moon in what sense? It is more powerful than a new moon. It is more potent than a new moon. A new moon energy lasts with us for a month, but an eclipse lasts for at least 6 months, if not longer. And an eclipse also brings about karmic events. It brings about events in general. It brings about pieces of information, new insights. It can also speed things up in your life. So it's a very, very big day, June 10th. And this new beginning is extremely powerful and will stay with you for at least 6 months. And it's happening in your 9th house of faith, belief system, religion, adventure, foreign travel, higher education. That's where the new beginning is for you, Libra. And I know this is a lot of 9th house stuff, but right now the planets are all concentrated, okay? They're all concentrated, and that's why the focus of our lives is so concentrated. So that's what's happening on June 10th. Now on June 11th, I'm going to show you on this chart, but let me first clean it up. 2 things are happening on June 11th, okay? Now let's talk about the first thing. Let's talk about Mars. Mars, as you can see right here, is at 29 degrees of Cancer. Tomorrow on June 11th, it's going to change signs and enter the sign of Leo. For the past 40 days or so, Mars has been energizing, reinvigorating your career. It's been replenishing it. And now it will come into your 11th house and reinvigorate, energize, replenish your social circle. These are the groups that you belong to, the acquaintances that you keep, and your hopes, goals, and dreams as well. That's the area it's going to reinvigorate for you, Libra. Okay. And the next thing that happens on June 11th, let me write it down, is that Mercury retrograde is meeting up with the sun. And this is the point where you can have some realization, you can receive some message, you can have some piece of, if you didn't understand something, you may understand it now, and all this is connected to the past. So some piece of information, some realization, some insight might come to you on June 11th, connected to the past, and this is also connected to your belief system, to your faith, to foreign travel, to higher education, to publishing if you're into that. So that's June 11th. Now moving on, Libra, we're going to talk for a moment about June 14th because it has the most important astrological event of the year happening on June 14th. What is that event? It is the Saturn Uranus Square. They come exact on June 14th. They will be squaring, making a 90-degree angle, as you can see on the chart all year and even next year, but they come exact 3 times this year. The first time was in Feb, the second time will be in June 14th, and the third time will be in December. And before we get into what this energy is, I want to mention that we experienced this energy last time in the year 2000. So it's been 21 years since we've experienced this energy, and that's a big deal. Now, what is this energy? Let's talk about Saturn first, okay? Saturn Libra is, okay, let me clean up the chart first, and then we'll talk about Saturn, Uranus, and what this energy means for you. So Saturn Libra is in your 5th house. Okay, it has been in your 5th house since December of 2020. And when Saturn is in a particular house, and it stays in a particular house for about 2.5, 3 years, it puts things in order connected to that house. It demands work, it demands discipline, but it mainly puts things in order. And the Saturn transit may not always feel very good in that area of your life. However, if you do the work, if you make the decisions, if you do the work, basically, it will reward you. And the rewards will come later, a year and a half later. So this Saturn transit, wherever it's transiting in your chart, whichever part of your life it's touching Saturn, we may not feel the best about it. It may feel stressful, but it's not always the case. It has to feel stressful. It might be that way. And for you, it's in your fifth house. It's putting matters connected to romance, pleasure, children, hobbies. Those are the areas that are getting put in place as Saturn is transiting the house for you. And before this, let me mention from 20, I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I like to give context so you can put this month into context, because certain themes last for years on end and they stay with us for years on end. So it's good to know what's been happening in the background. So Saturn has been transiting your fourth house from 2017 to 2020. And this transit must not have felt very easy emotionally, because this is our home, it's our family, it's our deepest emotions, it's our ancestors as well. So Saturn transiting that would have really made you, Libra, work on your emotions, work on your home, your family, your ancestors, where you come from, all those things. And that was from 2017 to 2020. Now from 2020 to 2023, it's all about focusing and working hard towards your children, towards hobbies, towards what gives you pleasure, and romance, if that applies to you. So that's Saturn. And Uranus is in your 8th house. Wherever Uranus is, there are sudden changes, there are unexpected changes. And these changes are to get you closer to who you actually are. The process may not feel easy, because sometimes Uranus will get rid of things that you like so that you can become who you are. And it's in your 8th house. It's been here since 2019. The 8th house is the house of intimacy. It's the house of personal karma. So these are the areas Uranus is really changing up so that you can be you. But if you're already you will not feel this too much. And now let's talk about the square, the 90-degree angle. What is this energy? In general, this energy is about getting rid of old things, old thought patterns, old structures, old belief systems, old anything, and embracing the new. It's also about embracing your authentic self, who you truly are on the inside. And for you, Libra, this battle, this tug of war between the old and the new will be in your 5th house and your 8th house, which means it'll be between hobbies, pleasure, romance, and 8th house intimacy, personal karma. It's also regeneration and healing and transformation. So that's the tug of war that you'll be seeing. These are the areas that will be highlighted for this transit for you, Libra. Okay, moving on to June 17th. June 17th is the first quarter square of the moon. What is the first quarter square? It's when the moon and the sun make a 90-degree angle. First time after the new moon. So this is the point you might face some obstacles connected to the new beginning that you had on June 10th. So there you may need to make an adjustment, you may face a challenge. So that's the energy for today. Now on this chart itself, I'm going to tell you what happens on June 20th. June 20th, Jupiter will go retrograde. Now Jupiter changed signs. From Aquarius, it came into Pisces on May 13th. Jupiter changes signs almost every year. But it came into the sign of Pisces after 12 years. So on May 13th, Jupiter started to enrich, give you gifts in another area of your life, which was connected to your health, your diet, your day-to-day routine, exercise, job, service. These are the areas Jupiter will bless you in the next 1 year. And in the past 1 year, it's blessed you when it comes to romance, children, hobbies, and pleasure. And now Jupiter is going retrograde, which means that the energy, because Jupiter is gifts, yes, but it's also lessons. So the lessons you will not need to learn now. Either you've learned the lesson as Jupiter goes retrograde on June 20th, or you haven't. And now is the point where you will still receive gifts because Jupiter is the most benefic planet, but the pressure of learning the lessons that come with Jupiter will ease off. And for you, this is connected to your diet, it's connected to your health, it's connected to your day-to-day routine, it's connected to your job, service, and it's also connected to romance, to pleasure, to hobbies, to children. Okay, so that happens on June 20th. And another thing happens on June 20th is, let me clean up the chart a little bit first. Okay, is that the sun will change signs. From Gemini, it will enter the sign of Cancer. Now this means from your 9th house, it will go into your 10th house. For the past 30 days till June 20th, the sun has been illuminating your faith, your religion, your belief system, foreign travel, higher education, publishing, and now it's going to move into your house of career, and that will be illuminated for the next 30 days, Libra. Now moving on to June 22nd. June 22nd is when Mercury goes direct. Okay, let's talk about Mercury for a moment. Mercury is here, it's in red. On June 22nd, it will go direct. What does this mean? Mercury has been retrograde, and when Mercury is retrograde, communication slows down. Our mind can feel confused. We have to review things from the past. Gadgets can malfunction, and it's not the best time to start new things. So now, as Mercury comes direct on June 22nd, you will see forward movement in your mind, in your mental processes, in your life, even in communication, connected to your faith, your belief system, foreign travel, higher education, and publishing. These are the areas where the direct movement will begin again. Okay? Because right now, since I believe May 29th, since Mercury has been retrograde, these departments have slowed down. We've been reviewing things, we've been reprocessing things, and now that's over. On June 22nd, that's over. The forward movement in these areas begins for you again. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the second most important event of June, and it is the full moon in Capricorn. What is a full moon? It's when the sun and the moon are in opposition. The sun is our consciousness, it's our identity, it's our soul, and the moon is our emotions. And when they oppose like this, it does not feel good. But full moons bring with them completions, they bring with them release, they bring with them culmination points. And for you, Libra, what are you culminating? What are you releasing? The first thing is the beginning that happened for you on June 10th, which happened in your 9th house of your belief system, of faith, of higher education, of foreign travel, adventure, wisdom, knowledge, publishing, that you can see clearly. What you seeded on June 10th, the new beginning that began for you, you're able to see that more clearly now on the full moon. And the second thing you are culminating, Libra, is what started for us in Jan of 2020. In Jan of 2020, Saturn and Pluto met up and they changed something in everybody's life. And for you, Libra, the conjunction happened in your 4th house. So it changed your home, it changed your family, it changed your deepest emotions, it changed your foundation. That's what it changed in Jan of 2020. And now you can really see clearly the change that happened. In Jan of 2021, the change really became visible. It came to light. However, now, on June 24th, that change that started in Jan of 2020, you're able to say, yeah, pinpoint and say, that was the change that happened. I can see clearly now. So that's June 24th. And on June 25th, Neptune will go retrograde. And it's going to retrograde in your 6th house. Neptune has been in your 6th house since 2011. That's a long transit, and it's going to stay here for another few years. Neptune moves really slowly. So wherever Neptune is transiting in our chart, we can feel confused about certain things. We may not be able to see things clearly, but it also has the power to connect us to the higher realm through the matters of that house. And for you, Libra, it's been transiting your 6th house. So you may be confused. You may not be able to see things clearly, or you may use these areas that I will tell you to connect to the higher realm. And what are these areas? These areas are sixth house matters: your job, your day-to-day routine, health, diet, exercise. That's what you may be confused about or not be able to see clearly, or use those things to connect to the higher realm in some way. And the last thing that happens in June is that Venus, let me clean up the chart before that. Okay, there we go. The next thing is that Venus is going to leave Cancer and enter the sign of Leo. Now, for the past 20 days till June 27th, almost 20 days, it has enriched, it has given you gifts, it's made you more receptive in your career. And now it's going to make you more receptive, give you more gifts, bless you when it comes to your social circle, which includes the group that you belong to, the acquaintances that you have, and your hopes, goals, and dreams. That's where the blessings will come. That's where you will be more receptive. So that's your astrological reading for the month of June, Libra. Now I'm going to pick a card for you. So let's pick a card for you. Should we go with the one that's fallen? I think we should. It says loyal heart. And there are two birds sitting with crowns, and almost embracing each other, if you can see. And this is a card of commitment. This is a card of loyalty, of course. And it's whatever you're doing it with a loyal heart. And that's a great thing. And just continue doing it. But if you're single, you may find somebody. If you're not single, your relationship may deepen. And if your relationship is already where you want it to be, then this person you're with, Libra, may be the one for you, because it says loyal heart. These are soulmates right here. And if it's not relationship connected to you, then whatever you're working towards, whatever you're working on, you're doing it with a loyal heart, and the universe is acknowledging it. So that's the message for the month of June. And continue working with a loyal heart. Yeah, I think that's what this means for the month of June for you. And do hit the subscribe button if you like this video, and share it with your Libra friends if you thought it was useful, and I will see you guys next time.